What's up guys, Eeaassyynow here with the June's tier list. This tier list will feature Aladdin and Anger. We've also restructured the tier list of how it works. Instead of just having a straight S tier, which is God mode broken, we have now changed it to exceptional. A tier means excellent, B means great, C, there is better guardians to use or may have situational usage, D, don't bother wasting your resources on these, and of course X for Elsa, untested at this moment in time. Credit for this tier list goes to Eeaassyynow Pendantic and MacaUbica, all from ENC, who got together. Well, me and Pendantic spoke about and did all the placements. MacaUbica helped out with the artwork. So thanks to everyone who participated this month. Okay, so first up, Mulan, from A up to S tier. Very tanky for a melee, does incredible damage, both single and AoE. The wounds are very nice, the AoE is also very nice. Can be placed in almost any team composition you want. He's just as good when the AI controls her. And yeah, just a very all-round solid guardian. My personal favourite at the moment, Ariel, still S tier. Such a versatile kit, easy to get those stacks, high damage per target, a cleanse and a low cooldown special that interrupts enemy specials. Very, very useful. She also has a slight heal if you put that talent on, which can make her even better. All round, absolutely amazing melee guardian. Baymax, the king of the tanks. Outstanding protection for the team. Lots of defense and armor. Immune to bleed. A lot of people forget that. Great base stats and very easy to stun. Very easy to use. She has all the buffs with the team. Perfect tank. Perfect. Okay, so on to A tier now. Excellent. Going to start this one with Belle. Good heal. Armor. Talents are great. All the talents complement her kit. Her core and her special abilities are great. All round, a great healer, mainly in the shorter to medium term battles. Moving on to Ian. Solid heal, can out heal Belle in the longer battles. His talents aren't super useful, but he's a solid support nonetheless. Don't sleep on Ian, guys. It's vital that you build up both of these two, especially with the restrictions in the game. You should always be able to use at least one of these in everything that's restricted, of course, unless it's all supports restricted. So yeah, make sure you build both of these two guys. Next on to Oogie Boogie. Amazing tank, very high base stats. The attack downs on enemies, absolutely amazing. Make him even more tanky. He's capable of doing decent damage with the correct talents. The only downside to him is he doesn't have any armor, but he doesn't really need it. So yeah, solid A tier. Moving on to Anger. Wow. I don't know if you guys have played with Anger much yet, but he is amazing. This hothead gains attack buffs for fun. All day long, just attack, stack, stack, stack. All the talents amplify his burns, his damage. He inflicts stronger burns to enemies. He's basically just a powerhouse. Once you get 10 stacks or 15 stacks, depending on which you're using, he just sets everybody on fire. He just burns the whole place to the ground. Completely amazing, fun to play. He looks cool as hell. Solid A tier. Next up we have Aladdin. Now he starts with a very high base attack. He has a very nice kit. It's very easy to trigger the wounds, especially once you get used to that dodging mechanic and get right behind him. He has a very new mechanic which we've not seen on any Guardian before. When it works, it can make enemies miss for up to 3 seconds, which is very, very useful, especially if you can get that to trigger in between a special that you can't necessarily interrupt. I'm guessing it'll just miss, which is very useful, very amazing. Yeah, perfect, solid A tier. Finally, in the A tier, the only ranged to stay up high, we have Judy. Now, we all know all ranged have been suffering due to crit caps, and a lot of the kits work around crits. It's sad, and we do need the crit cap to be lifted, get the ranged back into use, but we've rated Judy as A tier, and this is why. The kit and the utility is very good. Her root is very invaluable. It's capable of locking down multiple enemies at once. She has nice shock damage, which helps onto her additional damage. She provides herself with focus stacks. Now, they will get capped at a certain number. We're not sure what number, but it's nice that she can increase the damage even just a little. And also, when manually controlled, her heavy attacks consistently do solid damage, roughly around 2k when you're either at rank 4, level 40 and tier 9. So for that reason, she is our voted the best ranged guardian at the moment, and she is a solid A tier. Now moving down into the great guardians in the B tier. A lot of these have come down from the A tier because of the way we have structured the new tier list. So to kick it off, we have Rapunzel. Now Rapunzel's been an A tier for the longest time. She has a very, very good kit. She's capable of doing big single target damage. She gets good stacks, but sadly, once you use those on a special, they will disappear and they're quite hard to get back up because of the nature of her kit setup. She does have an awesome self-heal when the HP drops. She's got a very low cooldown, which is nice to interrupt as well. She's a solid B tier for sure. We only dropped her due to Anger and Aladdin being slightly better. But yeah, she is very much deserved B tier there. Next up, Hercules. He has good damage and a special that interrupts. Unfortunately, the special has quite a high cooldown. It'd be much more useful if it was lowered. To maximise Herc's potential, you ideally need to focus on one enemy until it's defeated, or you'll lose all of his attack stacks. That being said, he is still very capable of taking enemies down quite quickly. Don't sleep on Herc, guys. It's fun to play. Moving on to Merida. Now, we all know Merida was broken. She was OP for the longest time, capable of soloing all battles on her own. All you had to do was move around, use your basics. Every special you used with all 3 uncommon talents equipped would just increase in damage. Crit capable of 16k. Once you've used Scrooge, put Jack Sparrow in, you'll get a little bit more damage for them focus stacks. But she suffered with the crit cap, guys. We all know it. We've all seen it. She's still got great high damage, but she relies a little too much on the crits now. She has a wound that's pretty good, but despite all of her damage, we figure she should be in B tier. She doesn't really bring anything else to the team. Still a solo player, just not as capable as she once was, but she's still a solid choice for a ranged guardian. Okay, so next up, back over to Scar. Scar has the unique mechanic of heal block, situationally beneficial, but adding to the fact he inflicts wounds, gains stacks that don't expire, and has a special that interrupts, we feel B tier is where he belongs. Be warned though, he is a little squishy. Try not to take too much damage with him. He's a bit of a glass cannon type. But yeah, his wounds are nice, his special is nice, has a decent range. Yep, all in all, good melee. Okay, to the far left of the tier list, we have Jack Sparrow. He's a fairly decent healer, but he's not as reliable as Ian or Belle. He's useful cleansing versus people like Ursula's and Oogie's. It's a shame that Jack doesn't cleanse all debuffs. That would definitely probably warrant him an A tier. Also, his cooldown is a little long in regards to the health healed on average, because we all know you need the curse stacks to make Jack's heal a little bit stronger. And yeah, he did have a nerf not long ago where they extended the cooldown because he was really, really good. I guess Kabam thought he was too good. To me, he wasn't all that. He was A tier, but he wasn't broken S tier. Okay, over to Maui. Now Maui's moved up. He has decent base stats, provides some protection for the team. He's better in battles where the enemies get lots of buffs. That's when he shines. What can he say except you're welcome? All jokes aside, guys, he is quite useful. It's a little bit situational, but once we move further down to the situationals, you'll understand a little bit more why we've placed him in B tier, hopefully. Next up, Minnie Mouse. She has good damage and the stacks are very easy to get. Just do a basic 4-hit combo, she'll gain a stack. Benefits more when enemies have buffs. The burns are capable of doing nice damage over time. She's not as strong as the other melees we've already mentioned, but she is by far one of the most fun guardians to play on this game to date. If you're lucky enough to have her, that is. Sadly, she is still locked behind Stardust, but if you do get her, try her out, guys. She's very fun. And finally, in this tier, we have Sully. Now, Sully has finally made it out of the gutter. The very consistent interrupter now, with a percentage of stunning. He does moderate damage and is capable of tanking battles now, which is always nice for a tank. On his signet, when HP is at 20% or lower, he drags all enemies to him, like Genie's Lure, which I think is a really nice mechanic. It's useful in a pinch, and I can see him definitely clutching some encounters. Just once that kicks in, just take manual control over him. If you have melee and a support, you can just kite all enemies around, heal up, heal up, heal up, switch back, and finally go kick some ass. I think it's great. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Okay, who's next in B? That's everybody done in B. Okay, down to C. There's better / situational. Yeah, these guys are just a little underwhelming at this moment in time. Donald is a fairly decent tank, high defense, low HP, potential to sustain with his armor and his talents. Possible future candidate for B tier, but for now, we think he remains at C. Ursula, a tank that suffers from the needing to be manually controlled to reach the full potential. She has good base stats though. Rapid stacks of defense down ensure she can lock down one enemy until the backup arrives to take care of it. She lacks the impact of the higher rated tanks provided though. She just doesn't feel as exciting. The binding contract, it's her own unique. It just doesn't seem all that great in all fairness. We both agreed and we've decided to put her in C tier. That being said, she can still take a hit, but yeah, I'd much rather prefer to use Sully or Oogie now, and Baymax if he's not restricted. It's a similar situation for Baloo actually. Very similar to Ursula. Ideally needs to be manually controlled. He has a very interesting kit and potential to climb as the game progresses. Not many people have played him. We've tested him briefly. He does have a very nice kit if you go in depth, his potential to heals. It revolves around collecting those cargo crates. But yeah, maybe in future he'll move up, but for now, we'd much rather use some of the already mentioned tanks. The more reliable the old trust is. And now probably the only situational one on this C tier, for me at least, is Goofy. Now Goofy's an odd one. He's a fun character. He does do good damage. Potential to stun on his special that hits all enemies. One of his unique mechanics is he prevents armor build-up, and he can actually strip armor quite fast. So to me, he's in C tier purely because he's a hard Baymax counter. I think that's very useful, and it's probably the only one that can counter Baymax that easily. Yeah, he's just held back by the crit cap. With more damage, he'd be solid. He'd easily be B, potentially A. Just lacks that little bit of damage. Next up, the last one in C tier, Scrooge McDuck. Now we've covered Scrooge McDuck a little in my support video. If you've not seen it, check the channel, go over, have a watch, come back. He's not a consistently strong healer. He does grant additional damage in the form of 10 focus stacks. If only crit wasn't capped, that would amount to a lot. Not anymore. We basically use Scrooge and Jack combo with the Guardian that we're testing to see what they can actually do with max focus stacks and when they actually do crit. He is a tester too, and that's why we've gave him the situational position. If he didn't have those focus stacks, he would probably be down at D, because there's always a much better choice as a support. If he can't add much damage, he can't buff the team, and his heal is not that great compared to everybody else, then what use is he? So yeah, Scrooge McDuck stays at C for us. Okay, moving down onto D tier. These guys, just avoid these guys for now. Don't waste your resources yet. All of this could change with the buffs, nerfs, and the balances. But yeah, let's kick it off with Maleficent. She's definitely had a fall from grace. At one point, she was rated A, very early on at the beginning of the game. She was pretty good. But now, she barely crits. So with no crits on basics, that means no defense downs. A real bad thing for her as well is her talents rely on losing HP. That's never good when you want somebody to reach full potential. So she should potentially get stronger the more life she loses. But usually your ranged unit, you always control that one. So if everybody else is dead and your ranged unit's the last one, she doesn't really have the soloing capability that she once potentially had. But even then, you would have still used Merida. So yeah, we've bumped her all the way down to D, sadly. We think that's where she'll be for the foreseeable until the crit cap is lifted. Moving on to Genie. Again, another one that relies on HP loss. At ENC, we're not a fan of talents that rely on HP loss. Now, granted, Genie's a tank and the talents, they're not awful, but they're not good. He's also got low stats in comparison to the other tanks. He needs to be played manually to make the most of his lure. He's just a big meat shield. He's not a very good one at that, to be honest, guys. We don't think you should waste any resources on him. Yep, D tier, that's where Genie sits. Before this update kicked off, the beta version 2.0 in December, previous to that, the previous version, Genie was actually the best tank, believe it or not. Tied with Baymax at least. He just felt super tanky. His stun was great. Yeah, he was just a favourite of everybody's. He was awesome to play. So it's really, really sad to see Genie down in D tier. But that's where we feel he deserves to be. If you disagree, hit us up in the comments, let us know why. Okay, finally, Buzz Lightyear. Now, Buzz, he has had a slight buff. Myself personally, I haven't tested this slight buff. We've decided to leave him down in D tier because the developers on the Discord have actually said the buff Buzz movement that we all started to get the devs' attention to basically make Buzz better, because we all like Buzz Lightyear as a childhood favourite for a lot of us, and they did him dirty with his kit. So yeah, they've actually listened to us, which is a good sign. They've gave him a slight buff, but we are reserving judgment on that. We won't test until we know the second half of the buff has came in. Now, we don't know if that's a kit rework or just more boost to his talents, lower cooldowns, damage boosts. We're not sure, so we've decided to leave Buzz down in D tier. Hopefully, he could be a potential good guardian. I'd like to see him at least B tier, at least. That'd probably make a lot of people happy, and then pour your resources into him. We'll test him out and we'll let you guys know. And then again, Elsa, locked behind a paywall. I only know a couple of people that have her. They've not really played with her too much. We've left her at untested. Can't wait to get our hands on her and test her. She is very focused around that aura of hers. Every talent seems to boost that aura. We don't know too much about it. The friends that have played with her said, yeah, she's okay, but it's situational use. They're not really testing her out. So yeah, that's what me, Pendantic, decided this tier list should be. Looking forward to hearing everybody's comments and arguments. Let us know in the comments section what you think we did right, what you think we did wrong. Anything you'd like to add, just let us know, guys. Thanks for watching.